Hi everyone, Michelle here from michellesmidheaven.com, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mars-Uranus conjunction that is forming and what that could be all about. Mars and Uranus come together about every 2 years, and now that Uranus has moved into Gemini, this will be the first of four Mars-Uranus conjunctions in Gemini. This conjunction will perfect on July 4th, but there is an unusual dynamic going on in the sky which might prolong the impact of this transit. So I'll show you what's happening. The ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and while he was on his way to make a hidden aspect to Uranus, which we call an Antiscia or an Antiscion, where two planets are at the same distance of one of the solstice points so that they kind of mirror one another. Well, before Mercury could reach that exact Antiscion point, he slowed down to turn retrograde on the 29th. So Mercury is moving away from that Antiscia with Uranus, as if something nice fell through or something challenging was avoided. All right, but no big deal really. But now Mars is heading toward Uranus, and keep in mind that this is all happening in the lunar north bending, which is such a place of heightened emotional drama. And actually, there's a link in the description box that will take you to a pre-recorded class where I get deep into the lunar nodes and bendings if you want to learn how to interpret all of that. But Mars and Uranus get together on July 4th, which is going to power up or agitate Mars. Uranus is offering Mars extra fuel, you could say. And then, all pumped up by that Uranian energy, Mars is going to make a sextile to Neptune, who is also about to station retrograde on July 7th. So Neptune's confusion is quite intense here. And then Mars continues to head toward an antichon with Mercury, a point where Mars connects with Mercury in a hidden way on July 6th. Something is fishy. Something is happening behind the scenes. And since Mercury is retrograde, we might say that a plan or a situation is being reversed behind the scenes. This kind of dynamic brings out the detective in me, and it's calling us to pay extra attention. Use all the sensors and antennas that we have to make sure we're not overlooking anything. Alternatively, you could torment yourself with intrusive thoughts. You might feel you're being attacked or duped. You might feel like you need to prove yourself or compete with someone or take revenge, even for something that happened a long time ago. I'm keeping Mars's antichon to retrograde Mercury in mind, right? This could bring up something from the past, and sometimes Mars likes to find enemies that aren't really there. Needless to say, you want to find that fine line where you have some healthy suspicion. You don't want to be too naive, but you're not quite paranoid either, right? There's a fine line between them. And in the simplest terms, just think of any type of mercurial matters that are going on for you, such as monetary transactions, right? Financial stuff, any documents or contracts that need your signature, negotiations, maybe disputes. Make sure that other people are not trying to be more clever than you. Watch where you're going. Don't bump into anything because you're distracted maybe by the heightened mental activity that is probably going on. And we can easily see how this young Mars, electrified by Uranus, is on a short fuse. He has no time for diplomacy. In Gemini, a sign so important for communication in general, we can already imagine the type of discussions that might be going on social media. And since Mercury reversed course, it's actually an ideal time to take a moment to notice how much irritation your body feels just because you're listening to the news or because you get into some discussion online or you find yourself wasting your time trying to explain things. Mars at that point could just say, okay, I am done, and I'm going to focus on something else, or I'm going to deal with this more efficiently. I'm going to simply cut off anything that has been annoying me. And this can be great, but we also need to be smart about it because Mars's blade is sharp and eager to keep going. So we might cut off more than we intend. So caution is needed, of course, but it will be hard to be cautious at the same time because Mars doesn't get behind a new activity for just the 60% or so. When Mars is ready, and you can bet he is, he's there for the full 100% and then some. And once he gets going, nothing's going to stop him. This is going to play out differently for all of us. For most of us, I think Mars and Uranus and Gemini offer a welcome burst of energy. Things get done more quickly, more efficiently, and with a sharp sense of humor as well. Physically, we're feeling stronger. Psychologically, there's less fear, maybe more self-confidence. But for some of us, however, this wild combination can be a little too much. Thoughts can spiral. The body might feel too nervous or anxious. And I'm thinking of hyperventilation, actually, in an air sign. And in general, Mars and Gemini can be quite destructive. I've seen people derail mentally. It can unfortunately bring out a very dark side. And one extreme example that I want to share today is John Edward Robinson's natal chart. His chart has Scorpio on the ascendant, so he's represented by Mars and Gemini. And Mars happens to be in a conjunction with Uranus natally. Robinson is a con man and an embezzler and a murderer, and he's the first known serial killer to have used the internet to lure in victims. Okay, super extreme case, obviously. And the fact that Mars is in the eighth house and also the mutual reception between Mercury and Saturn, that all plays a big role here. But in any case, just to say that we cannot deny that when handled poorly, Mars-Uranus can be very problematic. So notice that this combo is at work in people's psyche. For example, I had a neighbor once who came by with this furious look in his eyes. It was really frightening. And he accused me of tampering with his TV. And he thought apparently that I was changing the channels telepathically. I wish I could. But that's a Mars Mercury air type of situation right there. And I wish I had cast a chart for that, of course. But anyway, this is something to be mindful of, right? And I think astrology is so helpful in those moments when things get a little volatile because you can see the gods work through other people. And when you realize that there's so much going on in the sky, it's so much easier to tolerate some situations and to have some compassion for other people's actions. And if you feel it's getting a little too much for you, the best martial outlet by far is physical activity. Sitting all day drives Mars crazy. The more you move, the better, now more than ever. And maybe around Mercury stationing, it might be great to lift weights instead. But in a couple of days, when Mercury is in full reverse, move, 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 right? Exhaust yourself, if that's even possible. Let me know how it goes in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Get in touch with me through michellesmidheaven.com for readings, or if you want to learn astrology with me, whether you're a beginner or an advanced student, go ahead and get in touch. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.